Starting the edition of This is Exclusive with that first big breaking news now coming in. First on Republic, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate. He has been asked to appear before the agency on the 21st. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is the second time that the Chief Minister has been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate. The first summons that was sent to the Chief Minister, he did not respond. He did cite personal engagements. He could not appear before the Enforcement Directorate. He's already appeared before the Central Bureau of Investigation in the liquorgate examination. What we are given to understand now is that he's now been asked to appear on the 21st. So why exactly has the Delhi Chief Minister been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate in the liquorgate? Top sources within the agency now indicating that following the arrest of senior Aam Aadmi Party leader Sanjay Singh, who was arrested by the Enforcement Directorate, fresh evidence has now come up. In fact, this is an opportunity that has been given to the Chief Minister by the central agency to explain his version on this entire matter. Whether at all the Chief Minister was actually aware of the fact that there were certain changes that were brought in as far as the excise policy is concerned, which a department which was being handled by his colleague and the then Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, Manish Sisodia. What's exactly the role of the Chief Minister? Remember, his name has also appeared in the charge sheets that have been filed by the Enforcement Directorate so far. It's important to underscore here that the Chief Minister has not been named as an accused in this particular case. The only reason why the Chief Minister has now been asked to appear before the Enforcement Directorate is only to take him through certain queries that the agency essentially has with regards to his alleged role. Whether at all the Chief Minister was actually aware of the changes that were brought into the excise policy, number one. Number two, he's also been asked to explain the fact that there were certain meetings that took place at the Chief Minister's residence, where the presence of certain accused is being questioned by the central agency. More importantly, one of the accused, that is Samir Mahendru, who was arrested by the Enforcement Directorate, he in his statement before the Enforcement Directorate under Section 50 of the PMLA Act has essentially said that there was a FaceTime call that was made between another accused in this particular case, who also happens to be the communication in charge of the Aam Aadmi Party, who made that call between Arvind Kejriwal, allegedly between Arvind Kejriwal and the accused. That is the reason why they say that perhaps the Chief Minister was aware of the fact that there was some sort of a quid pro quo. These are allegations that have been levelled, yet to be proven before the court. But it's important to point out here two things. One, whether at all the Chief Minister was part of those cabinet meetings. Number two, whether at all there were some instructions that were passed from the Chief Minister's office to his deputy, that is Manish Sisodia. And more importantly, the level of allegations that have been levelled against the Chief Minister by a top bureaucrat who was serving in the government, who essentially says that certain diktat was actually given by the Deputy Chief Minister with regards to the cutoff. More importantly, the profit margin that was essentially changed from 5% to 12%. That the agencies believe that entire margin of the difference in the profit is largely the quid pro quo that they are looking at, the alleged kickbacks that were received by the political party. In fact, the sensational development that took place inside the court also is the very fact that the agencies believe that the party in itself has been a beneficiary of this particular quid pro quo that has taken place. That is the reason why the agency believes that the Aam Aadmi Party should also be made party to this entire investigation, or perhaps could be seen as an accused in this particular case. Now, if at all Arvind Kejriwal basically responds to this summons, this would be the first time that he would be appearing before the Enforcement Directorate. He certainly has the choice of perhaps skipping, but if that really happens, remember, he would have perhaps another one or another two summons before the central agency moves the court for a non-bailable warrant. So that could turn out to become far more difficult for the Chief Minister. Remember, this also happens just a day before the India Alliance meeting that is going to take place at the national capital. You already have West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, who's camping here in the national capital. There are also reports coming in of the meeting between the two leaders. So politics would certainly take place on this entire matter, because in the past too, you've had a similar sort of allegations being levelled by the India Alliance members. For instance, Trinamool Congress senior leader Abhishek Banerjee also made that allegation against the Enforcement Directorate that just before the India Alliance meeting that actually took place, you did have Abhishek Banerjee also being called in for questioning by the Enforcement Directorate. So it would be very important to see the kind of responses really that comes in from India Alliance members, particularly the Aam Aadmi Party, because you have the party president being called in for questioning. And secondly, whether at all he is right now being called in as just as the Delhi Chief Minister, but also as a party position that he actually holds. Because at the end of the day, the central agency is largely harping on the fact that they are largely looking at what is the role that is allegedly played by the Chief Minister. Joining us on this broadcast is BJP spokesperson, Mr. R.P. Singh. Mr. R.P. Singh, the summons comes just a day before the India Alliance meeting that is going to take place. Your opposition members are largely going to hit out at you by saying that are you nervous of those India Alliance meetings that are taking place, and that is the reason why summons are largely being sent out at a time when they are having these meetings?
Well, these summons have nothing to do with the meetings and alliance meetings. This is purely a technical thing, and then I don't understand why they have to take it to the alliance meeting and all. Earlier, Mr. Kejriwal said that I have to go for campaigning. I mean, the government functions and the government machinery should not work if the minister or the chief minister has to go for campaigning. I don't understand that also. So someone has nothing to do with the meeting. He has been called. Now he should go and attend the meeting. Last time he ducked the meeting on the ground of campaigning. Now he has no reason for that.
Mr. R.P. Singh, with regards to the allegations that have been leveled against the Delhi Chief Minister, as I understand from my sources, one of the biggest difficulties that the central agencies have largely faced is that they have not been able to perhaps map Arvind Kejriwal to the files that have basically moved. So effectively it means that there is no file that has largely been signed by the Chief Minister, pinning the blame on the Chief Minister. That is the reason why you're looking at the Deputy Chief Minister who's been in the talk, because there is enough evidence against the Chief Minister. It also appears that there has been enough evidence that has been gathered by the central agency against Sanjay Singh, but they do find some difficulty when it comes to the Chief Minister. How would you respond to that?
Well, you are among the top 5 people in the public channel. But tomorrow when it comes to the any problem on the public, Arnab Goswami is the first one to be held because he's heading the channel. Tomorrow he can't say that, oh, I have nothing to do with this person's what he has said or no. And basically, responsibility lies with Arnab. Here also the responsibility lies with Arvind Kejriwal because he is the one who is heading it. And then, so he is answerable as a head of the cabinet, whether he signs or not. He is the head of the cabinet. So he is answerable and liable for any action taken by the cabinet or by the colleague.
Well, Sardar R.P. Singh, you do have a point on this entire matter. As I understand, by covering the central agencies, is that the reason why Aam Aadmi Party chief Arvind Kejriwal is also being called in for questioning here is that he also holds as an office bearer of the party. They're looking at whether at all the party has allegedly benefited from the quid pro quo and the transactions that have essentially taken place. 2 quick points for our viewers who are tuning in. What is it the Aam Aadmi Party has been saying on this entire matter? They say, where is the money? Did you find the money? That's the question that the Aam Aadmi Party has time and again asked. Now, our understanding by way of sources within the central agency is this, that so far roughly about 70 lakh rupees, the money that was traced to one particular advertising agency that was used by the party for the campaigning that was carried out in the state of Goa. They say that through this outdoor campaigning advertising company, the money was actually routed. It was used for the Goa elections. The reason why Arvind Kejriwal will also be called in for questioning, because it is he who has to also do the answering as to how exactly the money was utilized. Where exactly did the money really come from? And was this money really accounted for? Because here too, ladies and gentlemen, it's important to point out that there are hawala transactions that have taken place. Allegedly, they have taken place, and that is the reason why the central agency essentially believes that the chief minister, the party chief, should be given the opportunity to perhaps put across his version on this entire matter. It is important. It would be important to see what is it that the Aam Aadmi Party has to say. We'll try and connect with a few Aam Aadmi Party leaders too to get their first reaction on this entire matter. Let's try and reach out to the Aam Aadmi Party because this is a developing story. We're breaking the news first on Republic TV that Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has already been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate. Not the first time that he's been called in for questioning by the Enforcement Directorate. In fact, he's already appeared before the Central Bureau of Investigation on this matter. And if you remember, Arvind Kejriwal, the moment he stepped out of the Central Bureau of Investigation, he largely hit out at the centre, saying that even the officers within the Central Bureau of Investigation were sympathetic towards the Chief Minister, and he made that sensational allegation that the CBI officers were basically under pressure. That is the reason why they had responded. That is the reason why the Chief Minister was called in for questioning. But is there merit to the allegations that have been levelled against the Chief Minister so far? This is something that perhaps the court will have to come to some sort of a conclusion, given the fact that the matter is still sub judice. There are multiple charge sheets that have already been filed by the Central Bureau of Investigation as well as the Enforcement Directorate. But there is a smoke screen here. The Chief Minister has always been maintaining that he hasn't been named in the charge sheet as an accused, which he is partially correct, that he hasn't been named as an accused in the charge sheet. But having said that, there are statements that have been recorded before the magistrate. There are statements that have been recorded under Section 50 of the PMLA Act, which essentially means that it is admissible before the court. And you do have a certain accused who have taken the name of the Chief Minister. And this is an opportunity for the Chief Minister to perhaps put across or set the record straight. Let's make it very clear that since he's being called in for questioning, let's also look at some of the facts that have emerged in this particular case. How exactly has the investigation really panned out over the last 1 year? Since the time this investigation began, you have had top leaders of the Aam Aadmi Party facing serious allegations. Some are already behind the bar and they are yet to be released. Some are still in judicial custody. For instance, the then Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, who is still behind bars. And you also have the recent arrest that has been made by the Enforcement Directorate that happens to be senior Aam Aadmi Party leader and Rajya Sabha member Sanjay Singh, who was also in a dramatic manner picked up by the Enforcement Directorate when they said that even he had arranged certain meetings that took place at his residence and also outside his residence with some of the accused in this particular case. And they believe that some amount of pressure was actually put on various other stakeholders. Joining us on this broadcast is senior BJP leader Nalin Kohli. Mr. Kohli, thank you very much for speaking to Republic TV. The big breaking news coming up here first on Republic TV is Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate. This comes just a day before the India Alliance members are going to meet here in the national capital. You are going to face this through and throughout with regards to the timings of these summons. All this while, Arvind Kejriwal was not sent a second summon. Why exactly just a day before the India Alliance meeting that has taken place? While one may argue on the contrary that investigations are bereft of politics, but the timings again is something that your party will have to perhaps do some answering. Mr. Kohli, if you can hear me. Mr. Kohli, can you hear me?
Hello.
Mr. Kohli, Shavan this side,
I can hear you
me?
now. Please tell me.
Mr. Kohli, the question that I was asking you is this: the summons are being sent just a day before the India Alliance is going to meet here in the national capital. You are being accused of using the Enforcement Directorate once again. Some members in the past had already said that you are nervous of these meetings, and every time a meeting happens, previously it was Abhishek Banerjee, this time it's Arvind Kejriwal. What would you have to say with regards to the timings of these summons?
So you asked actually 3 questions. Let me answer each one of them. First, let us start that the ED is being accused of, or the ED is being misused is the accusation. This accusation, the Congress party has been saying repeatedly, the Trinamool Congress has been saying repeatedly, but then it's the ED that found over 350 crores at a Congress MP's house, the largest cash seizure in the history of India. So is that why the Congress party is running it down? Let's come to the Trinamool Congress. The Trinamool Congress, several of its ministers, associates and all have been caught repeatedly with 17 crores, 20 crores. So the issue is the ED is supposed to investigate where there is some element of money that is a proceed of crime. If it is finding a proceed of crime, then it is but obvious those who are at the receiving end of this are going to scream and shout and say that the ED is being misused. But what they are not talking about is the ED doing its job and unearthing black money. Let's go to number 2, timing. This is not the first summon. If this was the first summon to Mr. Kejriwal, perhaps this may have been a question on timing. This is a subsequent summon to the first summon, which means he did not comply with the first. Now he can't hide behind or anyone take an argument that this is mistimed. A second summon or a third summon after the first one is served is to be served after a certain period of time. So therefore, if it is served and it happens to fall today, you can't say that because the meeting of the so-called India Alliance is taking place, so now it is badly timed or it is purposely timed. Let's come to number 3. What is the India Alliance? Is the India Alliance even an alliance? Who is its leader? Where is its office? What is its logo? What is this so-called India Alliance's agenda? They are merely a conglomeration of political parties that meet for a cup of tea from time to time. Now, if 10 people meet for a time to time, that doesn't become an alliance. So once they decide that they have a leader who will be the face against Mr. Narendra Modi, who is the Prime Minister of India and the face of the government for the last 10 years, then perhaps one may say that there is an alliance here. Otherwise, a group of people can't call itself an alliance. So I don't see these allegations of importance. What is important is Mr. Kejriwal running away from providing direct answers. The fact of the matter is there was an excise policy in Delhi which was scrapped by him as the chief minister, his government and his ministers doing so. After that, scrapping it, they bring a new policy. When the new policy, there are allegations against him, then suddenly they scrap the new policy, throw it in the dustbin and bring back the old one, which they said was bad. So that points to the fact that the old policy was not bad and there must have been something wrong with the new policy. Then allegations come up that they don't follow due procedure. His ministers get arrested. Repeatedly, they are denied bail. Now, Mr. Kejriwal can't turn around and say, after leading the government where his own ministers are in jail, facing such serious allegations, that he will not answer the investigative agencies. After all, please understand, it's collective responsibility. The government is one. Mr. Kejriwal can't wash his hands off the government that he leads.
Mr. Kohli, can I just take one quick question before I let you go? You've set aside the politics behind it. There is one aspect in terms of the investigation that has been carried out. I'm given to understand the reason why the central agencies have found it very difficult to pin any blame on the Chief Minister of Delhi is because there is no signature on any file. Now, for instance, as far as the Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi is concerned, Manish Sisodia, the reason why he called Mr. C. Arvind to the residence of the Chief Minister, and there was a note that was actually given, and the note was done in a manner that there were changes that were made to the profit margin. The question here is that, can you really pin the blame on the Chief Minister at this stage, because there is very little information that has come out with regards to his alleged role?
So, what is Mr. Kejriwal then doing in government? Is he sitting there to enjoy sarkari tea and biscuits? If a Chief Minister of a state, a man who leads his party to victory, suddenly is to assumedly, if I assume this is his argument, say that I am not signing anything, so I am not guilty, then what is the whole concept of a collective government? Then one would have a government in which each ministry is a government by itself. That is not what You talk about collective responsibility. This will make a mockery of governance under the democratic process in which we live, under which we function. This is one government of the Aam Aadmi Party. This is not one government with several governments of the Aam Aadmi Party in the states, in the Union Territory of Delhi. So therefore, this argument is not just untenable, it's an argument that does not even deserve to be answered.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Kohli, for putting this into perspective. Let me also quickly go across to our senior executive editor, Abhishek Kapoor, who's joining us on this broadcast. Abhishek has been tracking this case very closely. Abhishek, you also follow the LG's office. The LG's office has a very important or crucial role to play, at least the previous LG, if I may say so. The question that the Aam Aadmi Party has been asking, if there was so much of a problem with this entire excise policy, why did the then LG give the nod as far as this particular excise policy is concerned? And that's a grey area, if I may say so, Abhishek.
Well, obviously, Shawan, we have seen the manner in which the investigation has been going on. The fact that it's not been easy for all these accused to get bail. The fact that Manish Sisodia continues to remain in jail. The fact that every argument that the investigation agency has made has been upheld in the court. The fact that even the court, while denying, the judgment of Supreme Court denying bail to Manish Sisodia was very clear that there is an element of prima facie. It seems there is an element of missing money to the tune of 200, 300 crore rupees. Whatever the exact figure, I don't exactly remember. What is important is that despite all these markers of something having gone wrong in the excise policy, which made even the Aam Aadmi Party government, remember, take back the policy. I think despite that, if they continue to make this political witch hunt charge, obviously there is their freedom, they can do that. But the facts of the case speak for themselves, as we have seen in the case of the decision taken by the LG, as we have seen in the case of the decision by the Aam Aadmi Party government itself withdrawing the excise policy, and as we have seen in the case of the topmost court of the country saying, yes, there seems to be a prima facie case of corruption.
Abhishek, just one final question that I would like to take with you with regard to the timings of these summons. Whether we like it or we don't, despite the facts that have been put out in place, you would have inevitably the political parties here, India Alliance members, largely questioning the timing of these summons. Previously, it was Abhishek Banerjee who was summoned by the Enforcement Directorate's Kolkata unit. Now you have Enforcement Directorate's Delhi unit sending out summons to yet another India Alliance member, that is the Aam Aadmi Party. So the politics behind it is only going to perhaps scale up.
Well, it's okay. I mean, tomorrow there's India Alliance fourth meeting that is taking place in Delhi, Shawan. But remember, this is an ongoing investigation. Had it not happened now, had it happened a month later, the accusation would have been that this is being done ahead of the budget session. Had it happened a month later, it would have been that this is being done on the eve of the general elections to politicize. So obviously, had it happened last month, it would have been that this is being done aimed at politicizing ahead of the state assembly elections where the Aam Aadmi Party is contesting 80 seats. So it's really unending. I don't know where that political argument really stops. And that's sort of a piquant situation that the agencies deal with. But then they have to do their job. And I believe for most of the investigation having done, including, questioning the aid of Arvind Kejriwal, I think it was a natural progression that at some stage the Supremo of the Aam Aadmi Party and the Delhi Chief Minister would be called in, and that's what has happened with this summon going in, and Arvind Kejriwal, as you report, being asked to appear on 21st of December.